Welcome to another episode of Winning for Life. And I'm greeting today from North Cyprus. I just arrived here to be here for the Christmas days and New Year's Eve and hoped to have more sunshine here. Cyprus has had most sunny days here in Europe. So let's see. But it is interesting also here, I'm on the north side, so maybe you know that Cyprus is nearly kind of two countries, the south and the north. And the south belongs to the EU, is culturally a little bit different. And the north, because for years they were fighting here, like the Greeks and the Turkish people. So the Turkish army went in and created a kind of new state here in North Cyprus, but officially it's not really a state, nor really accepted as a state. But that is one part. What is a little bit different in the energy here. You know, the sun, the water, the trees, they don't care so much about it. But the culture of the people is really interesting. You know, I'm living in Switzerland, and arriving here and had rented a house, a B&B house, so I knew the fridge is empty. So let's go shopping. And it's a huge supermarket, and this is very interesting for me as a Swiss person, the different culture. You go in a supermarket, you look for vegetables, and then it's like on a fresh market place, where the farmers bring their stuff in the supermarket. Greens, carrots, everything is just, they're not packed. So it's just huge amount of carrots and whatever fruits or vegetables you see there. So that was interesting for me, because in Switzerland everything is packed. Plastic. Very rare that you have something there what you can pick yourself. But when you pick yourself, you get a plastic bag and you need to weigh it yourself. So if you go to the cashier, you had already a kind of ticket on what you bought, on the price. Here, you put everything in a plastic bag, every food, every vegetable in a different plastic bag, and then you just carry everything to the cashier, and they weigh it. And they know them what to do with it and give you the price. So this is so different, not having the plastic in the fruits, not in the shelves. So everything is like on a marketplace. You not need to weigh, so someone else is weighing it. And this is, for me, a kind of paradigm shift. Yes, I know over the years, if you go in different cultures, that everything is a little bit different. But here you really are so much closer to the food. And guess what? It tastes great. Super fresh, natural. Because here is a law, you're not allowed to import, so everything mostly is really grown on the island and fresh. Interesting. That is interesting. So, but why are the so-called more poor country? The customer doesn't need to weigh it. But in Switzerland, the so-called rich country, yes, there the customer need to weigh it because before he goes to the cashier. This is very interesting to experience this different culture. I'm here with a partner. She lived 6 years in Japan. And when she came to Switzerland, she was used like the Japanese style. If you're there in the supermarket, you have your stuff, what you bought, and put it in front of the cashier, and the cashier is packing it. She did it, not thinking, not adjusted to the Swiss style when she was the first time in a supermarket. And the cashier really was offended. Because in Switzerland, in the so-called rich country, you wear your stuff yourself, you pack your stuff yourself. It is interesting. It's not for me today what is right, what is wrong. Just being aware, first of all, that the cultures are so different. And we were sitting here in a restaurant, and it was a funny experience. In the afternoon, looking into it, it looked like it's closed and dark, and on the tables were a lot of stuff and helmet for motorbikes and everything. We thought, oh, they're not open yet. So we were just standing there, and then someone came and waved, yeah, you come in. And they served typical local food. And where we were sitting, we were close to the window, sitting outside, and I saw a lot of young kids there, babies on the arm of the mother, and some young boys walking there. And just watching it and getting the feeling, really, really diving into it, what if you are one of these kids? Pick one. Go into it. And try to see what this young boy sees. He is growing up here. He sees a supermarket like this I just shared. He sees more poverty. He plays different ideas in his head. They drink Turkish coffee, not the Western coffee, whatever it is. And if you really get aware of that, how people grow up different in different cultures, because now I can jump also, imagine a Swiss kid. How does a Swiss kid grow up? What do they see? Simply a different supermarket where you need to pack your things there yourself. But it's so much more. Here, the streets are not really in a good shape. Houses not so clean. Switzerland, so clean. When I was the first time in Israel, maybe 20 years ago, and experienced in Israel visiting people, they didn't take so much care of wallpaper and everything, not so much care of the materials. I really felt, because at that time also, they didn't know exactly what happens next day. There was a time also with suicide bombers and everything. I stayed in a typical American hotel, and at the entrance there were guards, like on the airport, security checking you. And when I came home to Switzerland, there I felt like in a Disneyland. But I missed something. Israel, there was a lot of things not on the outside like I was used to, Germany or Switzerland. But if people know that they don't know what happens next day, they live different. I felt extremely more life, people more alive. And there's also a survey done, and there's a book written about happiness, and they check different cultures, countries, and says the Swiss people are not really happy. They are content. And sometimes we joke, if a Swiss person wants to laugh, they need to go in the basement and nobody sees it. They play just by the rules. But here in Cyprus, when you see the supermarket and the people, they play different rules. You grow up here and you want to fit in. We always have the tendency to fit in, because when we little, as you know, we need to survive. We are depending on the adults. We need strokes, body contact, we need food. We are not able to survive for quite a while, even if we're already out of mommy's womb. So we adjust to a culture. and how we see the world, how it's defined, or like kids ask, what is this? What is this for? The so-called adults explain, this is this and why it is. And a lot of our, let's call it teachers, instructors of the world, they just happen to go through the same thing. Someone told them how the world is. Someone told them how the world is. So they tell the next person. And often they don't know why they are doing it. But if everybody is doing it, isn't it right then? Remember, if you hear people saying, this is normal here, that means just because everybody is doing it and maybe nobody is thinking about it. What does mean normal? Normal. It's normed. Someone is normed. They did it. But normal is not natural. Natural is you live your uniqueness, your true self. But we come on planet Earth, look around, ask people, and they tell us this is the world. And if you go to Arab countries, it's different. You go to Asia, it's different. You go to Switzerland, it's different. What is really the truth? And as we are trained to survive, the survival mood and checking, and then we see, wow, this person gets more recognition because it has a bigger car or this and that. Or in Asia, older people get more, not just recognition, it's more, they value more, respect more the older people, just because they're old, experienced, they have the respect, not just simply what the bank account is. In the Western world, it's often the opposite. If you're getting older, yeah, you're more easily outsourced in business and everywhere. We try to hide what we don't like to see, if it's sick people, handicapped people, or is it old people. Yeah, I know it's changing something when I see the Olympics, the games in Paris says, wow, what a big party also for the Paralympics. But honestly, I didn't feel it is what really heart-driven from the heart, from the soul. No, it's wonderful money business. So I don't want to say that nobody cares, but we care less in the Western world. So be aware, be aware. What you see, what you live is not the reality. It's just the culture, or like my mentor Bob Proctor said, your paradigm is just the habits of other people. Other people program you. And that is a bigger thing what we need to learn on planet Earth, to get rid of all these programmings and decide what kind of programming I really want for me. Just imagine you have a TV, but there's only one channel. Every day is the same channel, and is one you don't really like. Every day, same channel, same story, same style, and you don't like it. And then you're told, yeah, you might live 70 years with it. How much fun is that? If you every day feel this is not really mine. I want it different. But the outside is like that, so I can't do anything about it. And most people, 90% of the people, the humans on this planet, living like that. Born in this culture, and it is like that. We do like that. We live the paradigm, the habits of other people. And that's why we need to wake up and realize. And traveling helps a lot. Like you just shared, the simple thing with the supermarket is so different. Plastic, no plastic, just the foods. Who need to weigh? Oh, everywhere it's different. If you go in restaurants, they have different food. I was once in Hong Kong, got from a hotel, a limo and the driver, and says, after a sightseeing tour, now drive me to a restaurant where only the locals go. I don't want to have the tourist meal. And he drove me somewhere, and really there was only Chinese people sitting there and eating. And they didn't have menus for tourists, so I asked him, my driver, to order something. And he ordered something, and I'll tell you, I couldn't eat anything. Nothing. I could, nothing. So he had the fun to eat a lot of things maybe he normally not can afford or not buying. But I couldn't stand it because it looks so different. It's different style, different way to put it, different smell. So my system was not really ready to eat it. It was a hard time to test something. So programmed. And those kids who grow up there, they eat it, no problem. And in Germany we say, what a farmer doesn't know, he doesn't eat. And it's just so simple how we are programmed. And it's not the truth, it's just the programming. Just the programming. Because if you look at the human body, it doesn't really matter where on planet Earth you grow up. There are not so big difference. It's what you can really digest. But the rest is taste and conditioning. So if you understand that, then if you really have a fulfilled life, and we're talking about having abundance, then it's important to get out of these limitations. Because if you're not out of these limitations, you never live a free life. You just live the programmed life. And do you feel that you can choose? I don't want to say that you need to eat this shiny stuff, but I want that you're not programmed not to eat it. If you're not programmed, then the freedom starts, and then the choice for what is in your highest interest and what brings you most joy starts. As long as you're not free, you can't choose, you're not really doing the best for you. So I recommend I do it mostly daily in the evening, reflecting, where was I in a trap, where I acted because of programming, and where I really was aware and made a conscious decision. Like this, not reacting, but responding. Feeling the free space. If something is on the outside, it's always on the outside. Nothing from the outside can really trigger me, only when I judge it, things in myself changing. So every day doing this. And then more and more, like you shared, in Cyprus, seeing the kids, how they are programmed, it helps you to realize how you are programmed. And the more you are consciously seeing patterns, the more freedom is. Because if you see a pattern. From now on, if you know it, it's your choice. That's why this topic, I need to let go and so on, forget it. You need to be aware about your patterns. And then, from then on, it's just a decision. If you repeat the pattern or try something new. Let's take a break. Before we came here to Cyprus, I was with a short stop in Slovenia. We visited Barbara Tanze again, the breathing coach. I made sessions with her here before. And it's really interesting also the paradigm changing. I never understood and nobody told me in my childhood how to breathe right, what breathing meant. And that breathing is not just a little bit in and exhaling. It is so much more how you can take your place in life if you're really capable and if your ribs are free to expand the whole upper body, contract. I was after years in stressy living that my muscles between the ribs were so tight that I don't have a chance to do better breathing. And I went to lung doctors and everything. Nobody told me. And then I recommend the book Breath, the yellow book. Is so interesting to read it, and you learn so much more about it. And I could even feel rage when I read it, because I see so many doctors, from dentists, normal family doctors, or special lung doctors. They didn't give me the right advice. Even worse, they told me wrong. So when I experienced in the past this limited volume in my lungs, the lung doctor said, okay, we can test asthma, give you a spray. Oh, no, that's not it. And then only I see is the possibility of a surgery. Gosh. And even the lung doctor not simply had the idea to really loosen the muscles between the ribs. And there was the experience when I read the book, and there's special techniques. So I Googled where is a special list for these techniques, where can I find it, who's there to train me. And I found them Barbara Tanze on the internet in Slovenia. And it's so interesting also. She's a German, grew up in Munich, opera singer, and now in a little village in Slovenia. It's an hour drive from the capital, where the airport is, in a little town. But like me, people come from all over the place. She went there, like often in life, because of love. She found her man, they married. No, she's living there for 20 years, kids, and a practice, and people coming to her because she is good. So I went there and says, oh, I want to learn this breathing technique. And she looked at me and says, I don't think so. We had only 4 days planned. So he said, let's start. And she started to really loosen my muscles with a special massage technique, like kind of acupressure or whatever. And suddenly, just with a little pressure from her and the right idea, and understanding also that my ribs are going really high in the neck. So all my tension on the shoulders was tension for the ribs, for the breathing. Oh, I learned so much, and losing the tight muscles was so freeing. That's why went there again to learn more and open up more. And here again, a lot of paradigms I need to shift. Why can a successful opera singer just now being in the little town there and doing this, how life changes, what she's doing, what the well-educated doctor in Zurich is not really not doing, but every day they're treating people wrong because not looking what nature is doing. They're looking what is normal. No, it's normal that we make a surgery. It's normal that we do this, but not really natural. If you give the body a chance first, and wow, before I went to Bauer Tansit, I had difficulties on airports when I have ways, and sometimes you have airports and you're in transit, when a long ways to walk or rush, and I need to stop to breathe. And learning a lot of things, first of all, the ribs widening, and then learning if you feel you don't have enough air, exhale is important. I was trained, take a deep breath. No, it's the wrong. You need, if you feel short breaths like walking on the airport, exhale, exhale. So widen the ribs and learning more to exhale. Two things, what the super doctor didn't tell me, made my life so much easier. But again, normal or natural? Are you really interested in understanding your nature, who you truly are? And I can recommend two things here because we're at the moment not offering really programs in English, but if you go on the homepage for UK Health Radio, you can see two banners. One is the book, Better the Whole World Against Me Than My Soul. I trusted so many doctors. Don't want to say that they're all not knowing, but most doctors who really know about the natural function of the body got their knowledge because they were personally interested and not because they studied. Because they all study medicine and techniques. They don't study nature, they don't study health. Took me a long way to get it. But that's their paradigm, how we do it, culture paradigm. So change that. And the other, what you find on the banner, their subpersonalities I mentioned is the first time, I guess, last session. Because of our survival strategies, we then create a kind of persona, different energy fields, like Eckhart Tolle talks in his book, The Power of Now, about pain bodies. It's energetic fields. And if you identify with them, you are in a big trap. Because with the identification, you identify yourself with something what you are not. But if you identified with what you are not, you can't get really out of this trap. Because if you identified and you should give up your identification, you have the feeling you will die. And it's so tough to go through it. But we need to understand again, who are we really? What is our true self? Our true self is never the subpersonality. Our true self never has fear. Fear has a subpersonality, or you can experience fear in extreme danger, kind of anxiety better, because fear, like it says, false evident appearing real, is regularly a fantasy and not really a danger, because we make it up. We can think different and fear is gone. But if you identified with it, you can't get rid of it. So understanding that we create self-personalities, that we create energetically fields. So what is a technique to go out of this? Understanding this. This is in the simple sub-personality program. Just I always like to say 3 CDs, because when we produce it the first time, we put it on CD, so who knows CDs today? No, it's just an audio program, and the concept, examples, and a meditation where you work with this your self-personalities, and you can be free from them, free yourself from them. So I really recommend, logically I recommend both, but doesn't matter, pick one and start, if it's a book or the audio program. The book is also possible. You buy it on Amazon, and then you can have it as Kindle, or maybe you have a machine who reads it for you, and modern AI can everything. So, and here I come to the next point. Before I flew now Slovenia, we were in London, and we visited the ABBA voyage. Maybe you heard about, for sure, I guess you know the band ABBA. And they created a theater, and with modern technology, they created avatars. That means you sit there and see a band on stage playing, and they look like real person. I knew that there is technology involved. And once I saw, like, American Got Talent, that someone came on stage, and then they were singing, and on the screen showed up the face of the Simon, who was sitting there as a judge, was singing. And it was a fascinating technology. So when sitting in London in the ABBA show, I was not totally clear, couldn't really see it. And first I thought, because of the experience with America Got Talent, that what I see on a bigger screen, the face, this is a technology, and that there might be a band on the stage, but you can't really see the faces from them. So there might be actual living, live people playing and learned how to act like ABBA. But it's not the truth. The 4 band members, ABBA members on stage, it looks so real, but it's not real. They prepared it with 160 hours, cameras all over, and created an avatar, an electronic thing, and it looks like different costumes. They move like the ABBAs moved. It's not only that they used the still alive band members, but also old movies and everything, and made really real-looking band. There's also a live band, but these 4 on stage was incredible. So here comes again paradigm. Why I'm struggling? I'm struggling to see what there is real that is not real, because I grew up with a real ABBA band, with only real people can be on stage. So it's my programming again. And this is what we need to understand, the second thing, what I really like that you understand it today really fully. Not saying you don't do it yet, but really be more and more aware and take your time to really check. We in the Western world believe, wow, our brain is so super. But our brain is a limiting factor. The brain is a receiver. And in the book, Better the Whole World Against Me Than My Soul, there is a moment in my life, I wrote about it, that I was sitting with Bob Proctor, myself, and a brain professor in the garden. And I asked the brain professor, What do you think? Where is our memory? Is it in the head, in the brain, or is it outside? And he was so strict and says it's in the brain. Because we can measure today if we take this out or go there with an electrode in, and so then memory changes. So it must be in. And that is the interesting thing. But in good old times, we all believed it maybe that memory is in. Like in my old computer, everything was data stored was in the computer. But today, it's in the clouds. And I joke when people question, no, it can't be outside the brain. A story from my childhood is, I made it a little bit up, but you get the point. You know, early 60s, there was the first TV show which was round the globe. And there were the Beatles singing, Give Peace a Chance. And there was, for me, the first time also that my dad allowed me to stay awake and see the Beatles show. No, it was All You Need Is Love, I guess. All You Need Is Love for this song. And and then I was sitting in my living room and for the first time seeing Beatles on the TV in the living room. And you know, in that time we had these big, there was no flat screen, the big TVs, and so I went there, and we had some kind of little, what do you call it, pipes or what in English, in the back, and you screw it off, and then the Beatles were gone. You put it in again, the Beatles were there again. So the logic must be the piece I take out of the TV contains the Beatles. That is what the brave professor said. No, all technology in the TV is there that the receiver gets something out of the air, transforms somehow, that we can see it on the screen. And we don't see them really on the screen. It's just some pixels added that our brain makes it up to a picture. Because there is no picture really on your desktop or your TV. It's just electronic pixels, and we learn to see the pictures. When I talked with the brain professor, Bob fell asleep. And later he said, he doesn't get it. So I wish that you get it, that you really get it. Let's take another break. So, what are we talking today about is, to bring it really to the point, we are living in an illusion. We believe wherever we grow up, this is the world, and this is the world. Only if you're ready to travel, see different cultures, you can become aware that might be something different. But then you decide. You open up and see there are more cultures, so I'm not fixed, and not one of them is totally true. It's not the truth I thought. So the other possibility a lot of people choose is, I don't see the other, and they are wrong. And you go in the right wrong way and fight the others. Those who are not my believers, I need to kill. Wow. But it's crazy. You're fighting for an illusion. And that's not really worthwhile, because if you're fighting for the illusion, you put a lot of effort not to live your true life. And that's why I recommend maybe with the audio program Subpersonalities, get a deeper understanding how we create a subpersonality, what it really means, and how to have a kind of guided meditation that you experience that you have the power. That's why they call sub-personalities. You should be the boss, but you need to get the awareness to this, really. And we talked about the technology, and this is the double problem what we have today for a lot of people. They grow up in a culture, like, for example, here the young kids in Cyprus, they get an idea how the world is, religion, everything, how we live, what is the culture, what to eat, how to eat, and when to eat, to pray every 5 hours, and whatever. But they all running around already with a phone, smartphone, or whatever electronic tool to dive into a fantasy world which doesn't exist. But our subconscious can't decide what's real and not real. So we feel it's real, because if we feel emotions inside, that is a real experience, but not the reality out there. And if we are not aware that our emotions, what we feel, has nothing to do if it's outside real, then we go in a trap. We go in the trap because creating whatever worldview, paradigms, whatever identification, what we are not are, and see the difference between identification and identity is tremendous. And I wish that you live your identity. That's the only way you can live your true self here. And totally free and with full abundance. So we need to understand our brain is the limiting factor. At least the left brain can only use little data, what we saved so far in our computer. With the right brain, we can connect to the conscious field and open up. But we need to have the understanding that my view is limited, that what I'm hearing is limited. There's so much more out. So skip the idea it's good to be normal. I wish that you have a huge interest to be natural. You belong to nature, not only flowers, trees, plants, animals. Humans are part of the nature, and you should live to the best. The rose should blossom and be the best rose it can be. And you have a uniqueness, you as a human, and the simple idea is be the best who you really are. Live your true self, your essence to the best. But therefore, you need to get out of the illusions and the paradigms which you think is true. Skip all the limitations, identifications. Be your true self and live it full out. And go to the homepage here in UK, Health Radio, and pick the book or the Subpersonality program and start understanding and training and be more free. And for sure, be inspired. The best is yet to come.